In a distant part of the galaxy, far beyond the reach of Earth's telescopes, the Krillian Empire stood as a force unmatched. Their massive fleet stretched across space like a storm cloud ready to unleash its fury. General Marcus Kane, a tall and stern man with cold blue eyes, commanded the armada from his flagship, the Obsidian Blade *. The ship was enormous, bristling with weapons that could shatter planets. For centuries, the Krillians had conquered countless worlds, their name striking fear into anyone who heard it. Now, they turned their attention to Earth. On Earth, life went on as usual. People worked, laughed, and dreamed under the bright sun without knowing the danger lurking in the dark corners of space. Admiral Laura Hayes, however, felt uneasy. She was a woman in her late 40s with sharp features and a determined gaze. Her instincts told her something wasn't right. Reports had trickled in about strange movements near the edge of the solar system. Ships too big to belong to any human nation. Still, no one knew for sure what these reports meant. Laura walked briskly through the corridors of the Eclipse Vanguard *, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. It gleamed with polished metal and cutting-edge technology. The crew moved around her, busy with their tasks, but she barely noticed them. Her mind was racing. If there truly was an alien threat, Earth wasn't prepared. Humanity had only begun exploring space recently, and its fleet was tiny compared to what history books described it as the great navies of old. She reached the command center and called for Captain Rand Cole, her trusted strategist. He arrived quickly, a lean man with short brown hair and glasses perched on his nose. "What do we know?" Laura asked, her voice steady but urgent. Ryan pulled up holographic maps showing the outer edges of the solar system. "We've detected several large objects moving toward us," he explained. "They're not natural. They're ships, ma'am. Big ones." Laura frowned. "How many?" "At least 50, Ryan replied. "Maybe more. And they're faster than anything we've seen before." Laura clenched her fists. 50 ships against Earth's dozen or so vessels. It seemed hopeless, but giving up wasn't an option. Not while billions of lives depended on her decisions. "We need more information," she said finally. "Send out drones. Cloaked ones. I want to see what we're dealing with." Dr. Emily Rowe, the lead scientist aboard the Eclipse Vanguard *, stepped forward. She was a soft-spoken woman with curly blonde hair and a calm demeanor. "I can help," she said. "I've been working on cloaking technology. We might be able to get close enough to gather data without being detected." Laura nodded. "Do it. Quickly." Hours later, Lieutenant Alex Grant sat at the controls of a small drone craft. A young man with a mop of dark hair and a nervous smile. Alex had never flown a mission like this before, but he didn't hesitate when Laura asked him to take the lead. As the drone slipped silently through space, Alex guided it closer to the mysterious fleet. What he saw left him speechless. The alien ships were colossal, each one larger than a city. Their surfaces shimmered with strange lights, and their shapes were unlike anything human engineers could design. At the center of the formation floated the Obsidian Blade *, its dark hull dominating everything around it. Alex recorded everything, sending the images back to the Eclipse Vanguard *. When the footage reached Laura, she stared at the screen in silence. The enormity of the threat sank in. These weren't just invaders, they were conquerors. And yet, even as fear gripped her heart, a spark of defiance ignited within her. Earth may have been outmatched, but it wasn't defeated. Not yet. Turning to her crew, Laura spoke firmly. "This is our home. We'll fight for it. To the last ship, to the last person." "Understood." The room erupted in agreement. Though the odds were grim, hope burned brightly among the men and women of Earth's fleet. The Krillian fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system with a display of power that made Earth's scientists gasp in awe. General Marcus Kane stood on the bridge of the Obsidian Blade *. His arms crossed as he watched the destruction unfold. The massive ships pulverized moons and asteroids in their path, sending debris spiraling into space. It was a message, a warning to anyone who dared oppose them. "Broadcast our terms," Kane ordered coldly. "Tell these primitives to surrender or face annihilation." Back on Earth, Admiral Laura Hayes received the transmission. She listened carefully as the deep, guttural voice of the Krillians echoed through the command center. Their language was harsh and mechanical, translated into English by the ship's computers. "Surrender your world, or we will destroy it." The message ended abruptly, leaving silence in its wake. Laura clenched her jaw. Surrender wasn't an option. Humanity had faced challenges before, and they had always found a way to survive. But this time, the stakes were higher than ever. She turned to her crew. "They think we're weak," she said firmly. "We'll show them otherwise." Captain Ryan Cole stepped forward, holding a tablet filled with data from the reconnaissance mission. "Ma'am, Lieutenant Grant's drone footage confirms their numbers. 52 ships, including that massive flagship. But there's something else." He pointed to a diagram on the screen. "Their shields are strong, but they seem to have weak points near the engines. If we can hit those spots." Laura nodded. "Good work. Let's use that to our advantage." Dr. Emily Rowe approached next, clutching a small device in her hands. "I've upgraded the plasma cannons on our fighters," she said. "They won't last long against the Krillian shields, but if we strike fast and hard, we might do some real damage." With a plan forming, Laura gave the order to prepare for battle. Commander Jake Monroe, leader of the fighter squadrons, gathered his pilots for a briefing. A tall man with broad shoulders and a confident smile, Jake radiated calm under pressure. "Listen up," he told the group. "This isn't going to be easy. These aliens are bigger, stronger, and faster. But we got something they don't: courage. Stick to the plan, watch each other's backs, and we'll make them regret coming here." As the Krillian fleet advanced toward Mars, Earth launched its first counterattack. Sleek human fighters emerged from hidden orbital platforms, catching the invaders off guard. The tiny ships darted between the larger alien vessels, firing bursts of plasma energy at the weak points identified by Ryan. Explosions erupted across the enemy formation as several cruisers took critical hits. General Kane watched in disbelief as his forces reeled from the unexpected assault. "What is this?" he barked, slamming his fist on the console. His officers scrambled to respond, launching swarms of drones to intercept the human fighters. The battle raged on, lighting up the darkness of space like a fireworks display. Despite their initial success, the humans soon found themselves overwhelmed. The Krillians adapted quickly, reinforcing their defenses and retaliating with devastating barrages of laser fire. One by one, the human fighters fell, their pilots lost in the chaos. Jake narrowly avoided a blast that tore apart the ship beside him, gritting his teeth as he pushed his vessel harder. On the Eclipse Vanguard Laura monitored the battle with growing concern. They had inflicted significant damage, but the cost was high. Too many lives had already been lost. Just as the situation seemed hopeless, she remembered Emily's latest invention, the experimental energy shield. "Activate it," Laura ordered. Now. The shield sprang to life around the human fleet, glowing faintly as it absorbed incoming enemy fire. Though unstable, it gave the remaining ships a brief window to retreat. As the battered fleet regrouped, Laura looked out at the stars. The Krillians had underestimated humanity once. They wouldn't make the same mistake again. The battle may have been over for now, but the war was far from finished. Hidden beneath the surface of the moon, Earth scientists worked tirelessly to unlock ancient technology discovered during lunar mining operations. Dr. Emily Rowe led the effort, her blonde curls tied back as she pored over strange artifacts that glowed faintly with an otherworldly light. These relics, believed to belong to a long-extinct civilization called the progenitors, held secrets far beyond anything humanity had ever created. Emily's hands trembled slightly as she traced the intricate carvings on one piece. This could change everything, she whispered to herself. Admiral Laura Hayes visited the lab frequently, eager for updates. She knew time was running out. The Krillian fleet would not wait forever, and Earth needed every advantage it could get. One evening, Emily approached Laura with excitement in her eyes. "We found something," she said, holding up a holographic blueprint. "It's a weapon, a superweapon. It creates an electromagnetic pulse strong enough to disable entire fleets." Laura studied the design carefully. "Can we build it?" she asked. Emily hesitated. "Maybe, but it's risky. The energy required is enormous, and if something goes wrong..." She trailed off, but the implication was clear. Failure could mean disaster, not just for the weapon itself, but for Earth. Laura nodded. "Do it anyway. We don't have a choice." As construction began on the device, codenamed Starbreaker, tensions rose among the crew. Lieutenant Alex Grant, still shaken from his earlier reconnaissance mission, voiced concerns during a meeting. "What happens if this thing backfires?" he asked. "Could it hurt us too?" Captain Ryan Cole stepped in, his calm voice steadying the room. "It's a risk, yes. But sitting here waiting for the Krillians to attack isn't much safer. We need to try." Despite the doubts, work continued. Meanwhile, intelligence reports revealed troubling news. The Krillians were massing near Mars, preparing for another assault. Admiral Laura Hayes ordered Commander Jake Monroe to lead a series of hit-and-run attacks against their supply lines. Using guerrilla tactics, Jake's squadron struck quickly and retreated before the enemy could retaliate. Each raid weakened the Krillian forces slightly, buying precious time for Earth's scientists. One night, while analyzing the progenitor artifacts, Emily uncovered something unexpected. Buried within the data was evidence that the progenitors had once faced the Krillians and lost. Her heart sank as she realized the enormity of what they were up against. If such an advanced civilization had fallen, what hope did humanity have? She shared her findings with Laura, who listened silently. For a moment, neither woman spoke. Then Laura broke the silence. "We're not the progenitors," she said firmly. "We're human, and humans don't give up." Inspired by Laura's determination, Emily doubled her efforts. Days turned into nights as she and her team raced to complete the Starbreaker. Supplies dwindled and exhaustion set in, but no one complained. Everyone understood the stakes. Back on the front lines, Jake and his pilots fought bravely, pushing themselves to the limit. During one particularly fierce engagement, Jake's fighter took heavy damage. Smoke filled his cockpit as alarms blared. Struggling to maintain control, he managed to limp back to the Eclipse Vanguard where Laura greeted him personally. "You okay?" she asked, concern etched on her face. Jake nodded, though his hands still shook. "I'll live, but we can't keep doing this forever." Laura placed a hand on his shoulder. "You won't have to. Just hold on a little longer." Unbeknownst to them, General Marcus Kane grew increasingly frustrated. His invincible fleet had been delayed, damaged, and humiliated by a species he considered primitive. He vowed to crush Earth once and for all. Little did he know, humanity's greatest gamble was about to unfold. The pieces were falling into place. Earth's fate now rested on a single desperate plan. The Krillian fleet moved closer to Earth, its massive ships casting long shadows over the planets they passed. General Marcus Kane sat on the bridge of the obsidian blade his patience wearing thin. He had expected an easy victory, but humanity's resistance was proving more troublesome than he anticipated. "Enough delays," he growled, slamming his fist on the command console. "We strike now." Admiral Laura Hayes knew the attack was coming. She stood on the bridge of the Eclipse Vanguard her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The human fleet was battered and outnumbered, but she refused to surrender. "Prepare for battle," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. Every ship in Earth's fleet mobilized, their crews working tirelessly to ready weapons and shields. Dr. Emily Rowe oversaw the final stages of the Starbreaker's construction. The device hummed with energy, its core glowing brighter with each passing second. "It's almost ready," she told Laura, though her face betrayed her worry. "But we only get one shot. If it fails..." Laura cut her off. "It won't fail. We've come too far to stop now." Lieutenant Alex Grant volunteered to pilot the Starbreaker into position. A young man with a quiet determination, Alex knew the mission was likely suicide, but he also knew someone had to do it. "I'll make sure it works," he said firmly, meeting Laura's gaze. She nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. As the Krillians launched their assault, the human fleet fought valiantly to hold them back. Commander Jake Monroe led wave after wave of fighters, darting between the enemy ships and striking at their weak points. Explosions lit up the void as both sides exchanged fire. The humans inflicted damage, but the cost was high. Ships disintegrated in fiery blasts, taking their crews with them. Amid the chaos, Alex guided the Starbreaker toward the heart of the Krillian formation. The small craft was nearly invisible, shielded by advanced cloaking technology. His hands gripped the controls tightly as sweat dripped down his forehead. "Almost there," he muttered to himself. On the Eclipse Vanguard Laura watched anxiously as the Starbreaker approached its target. Captain Ryan Cole monitored the device's status, his expression grim. "Energy levels are spiking," he reported. "If this thing goes off too early..." "It won't," Laura interrupted sharply. "Stay focused." General Kane, unaware of the Starbreaker's presence, grew increasingly frustrated. His fleet was taking losses, and the human resistance showed no signs of faltering. "Focus all firepower on their flagship," he barked. "Destroy the Eclipse Vanguard *." The order sent waves of dread through the human crew. The Krillians unleashed a barrage of missiles, heading straight for Laura's ship. Thinking quickly, she ordered evasive maneuvers. The Eclipse Vanguard * twisted and turned, narrowly avoiding destruction. But the enemy fire kept coming. Back on the Starbreaker, Alex reached the perfect position. The Krillian ships loomed around him like giants. Taking a deep breath, he activated the device. A low hum filled the cockpit as the Starbreaker began to charge. On the Eclipse Vanguard *, alarms blared as the energy readings spiked. "It's working," Ryan shouted. But the Krillians noticed something was wrong. Sensors picked up unusual energy fluctuations near their flagship. "What is that?" Kane demanded, his voice rising in panic. Before anyone could react, the Starbreaker detonated. A pulse of electromagnetic energy surged outward, engulfing the Krillian fleet. Lights flickered and died on their ships as systems shut down. Weapons fell silent, engines sputtered, and the once mighty armada drifted helplessly in space. On the Eclipse Vanguard *, cheers erupted as the crew realized they had won. Tears streamed down Laura's face as she whispered, "We did it." But the victory came at a cost. The Starbreaker's blast had consumed Alex's ship, leaving no trace of the brave pilot. Laura bowed her head in silence, honoring his sacrifice. Humanity had survived, but the scars of war would linger for generations. The aftermath of the Starbreaker's detonation left the galaxy eerily quiet. The Krillian fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable power, now floated like lifeless hulks in the vastness of space. Their ships were dark, their weapons silent, and their engines dead. General Marcus Kane sat frozen on the bridge of the obsidian blade *, his face pale with disbelief. For the first time in his life, he felt fear. His invincible armada had been brought to its knees by a species he had dismissed as primitive. Admiral Laura Hayes watched the scene unfold from the Eclipse Vanguard *. Her heart ached for the loss of Lieutenant Alex Grant, whose bravery had turned the tide of the battle. But there was no time to mourn. The war wasn't over yet. Though the Krillians were disabled, they still outnumbered Earth's fleet. If their systems rebooted, the fight could begin anew. "We need to act fast," Laura told her crew. "Send boarding parties to secure their flagship. We can't let them recover." Commander Jake Monroe led the assault team. Clad in sleek combat suits, the soldiers moved silently through the corridors of Asterisk, the Obsidian Blade Asterisk. The ship was eerily quiet, its alien crew immobilized by the electromagnetic pulse. Jake's team encountered little resistance as they made their way to the command center. When they finally reached the bridge, they found General Kane surrounded by his officers, all of them struggling to repair their consoles. "Stand down," Jake ordered, his weapon trained on Kane. The general glared at him but said nothing. He knew defeat when he saw it. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread like wildfire. Cities erupted in celebration, though the scars of war remained fresh. Billions had died, and entire regions lay in ruins. Yet, amidst the devastation, hope began to take root. People came together to rebuild, united by a shared determination to never let such destruction happen again. Factories churned out supplies, volunteers worked tirelessly to clear debris, and scientists collaborated to repair the damaged infrastructure. On the Asterisk Eclipse Vanguard Asterisk, Laura addressed her crew. Her voice trembled with emotion as she spoke of the sacrifices that had made this moment possible. "We lost good people," she said, her eyes glistening with tears. "But their courage gave us a future. Let's honor them by building something better." Dr. Emily Rowe returned to her lab, determined to learn from the progenitor technology. She believed the artifacts held answers not just for defense, but for peace. By studying the relics, humanity might find ways to prevent future conflicts. Her work became a beacon of optimism, inspiring others to look beyond the stars with curiosity rather than fear. General Kane, now a prisoner aboard the Asterisk Eclipse Vanguard Asterisk, refused to speak, but his silence spoke volumes. The Krillians had underestimated humanity, and their arrogance had cost them dearly. Laura visited him once, standing outside his cell as he stared blankly at the wall. "You thought we were weak," she said softly. "But strength isn't about size or weapons. It's about heart, and humanity has plenty of that." As weeks passed, Earth's leaders began planning for the future. They realized the galaxy was vast and filled with unknown dangers. Humanity couldn't afford to be unprepared. New ships were designed, incorporating lessons learned from the progenitor technology. Training programs were established to ensure the next generation of pilots and engineers would be ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The war had changed everyone. Laura, once focused solely on strategy, now thought about diplomacy and cooperation. Jake, hardened by combat, found solace in helping others heal. Even Emily, who had spent years buried in research, stepped into the spotlight to share her discoveries with the world. Though the scars of war ran deep, humanity emerged stronger. The people of Earth had faced an unimaginable threat and prevailed, not through hatred or vengeance, but through unity and resilience. And as they looked up at the stars, they did so not with fear, but with hope. The galaxy was no longer a place of shadows. It was a canvas waiting to be explored. The galaxy was changing, and humanity stood at the heart of it. Admiral Laura Hayes watched as Earth's fleet grew stronger, not just in numbers but in purpose. The lessons learned from the Krillian War had reshaped how people thought about their place among the stars. No longer were they content to stay hidden or isolated. They wanted to explore, to connect, and to build a future where no one had to fight alone. Dr. Emily Rowe became a hero to many. Her work with the progenitor artifacts opened doors no one had imagined possible. Using the ancient technology, she helped develop new ways to travel across space and communicate with distant civilizations. Ships powered by clean energy now sailed through the void, leaving no harm in their wake. Humanity's reputation began to shift, from survivors of a brutal war to pioneers of peace and innovation. Captain Ryan Cole took on a new role as an ambassador. He traveled with delegations to meet other species, sharing stories of Earth's struggles and triumphs. At first, some were skeptical, but Ryan's honesty won them over. "We've made mistakes," he admitted during one meeting. "But we're learning, and we want to do better." Commander Jake Monroe found his calling in teaching. Though he missed the adrenaline of battle, he discovered joy in shaping the next generation of pilots. His students admired him not just for his skill, but for his humility. "Courage isn't about being fearless," he told them. "It's about doing what's right, even when you're scared." General Marcus Kane remained a prisoner, but his presence served as a reminder of the cost of arrogance. Laura visited him occasionally, not out of anger, but to understand. Over time, Kane began to open up, revealing the pressures that had driven him and his people to conquer. "We thought we were securing our survival," he confessed one day. "Instead, we brought ruin upon ourselves." Laura nodded. Survival doesn't have to mean domination. Sometimes, it means working together. As years passed, Earth flourished. Cities rebuilt themselves with designs inspired by both human creativity and alien ingenuity. Parks replaced craters, and schools taught children about the importance of unity and cooperation. Even the scars of war became symbols of resilience, reminders of how far humanity had come. One evening, Laura stood on the bridge of the Eclipse Vanguard now refitted as a vessel of exploration rather than war. The ship gleamed under the light of a distant star, its mission clear: to seek out new worlds and foster friendships. She gazed at the crew, young faces filled with hope and determination. Among them was Lieutenant Mia Grant, Alex's younger sister, who had joined the fleet to honor his memory. Her presence brought Laura comfort, a sign that sacrifices were never forgotten. "Admiral," called a voice from the console. "We're approaching the Valen system. They've invited us to celebrate the alliance." Laura smiled. The Valens had become close allies, sharing knowledge and resources to help Earth rebuild. Together, they had formed a coalition dedicated to protecting weaker species and preventing conflicts before they began. As the Eclipse Vanguard entered orbit around the Valen homeworld, Laura addressed her crew. "This isn't just a celebration of peace," she said. "It's a promise to each other and to the galaxy. We'll face challenges ahead, but if we stand together, there's nothing we can't overcome." The ceremony was joyful, filled with music, laughter, and shared meals. Leaders from dozens of species gathered, united by a common goal: a better future for all. As fireworks lit up the night sky, Laura looked out at the stars. They no longer seemed cold or distant. They were beacons of hope, guiding humanity toward a destiny brighter than anyone had dreamed. And so, the story of Earth's fleet didn't end with war. It began anew with peace. Through courage, sacrifice, and unity, humanity had proven it belonged among the stars. The galaxy was quieter now, but the wounds of war still lingered. General Marcus Kane sat in a holding cell aboard the Eclipse Vanguard his pride shattered. Once a symbol of Krillian dominance, he was now a prisoner, stripped of his power, and forced to confront the consequences of his actions. Admiral Laura Hayes visited him occasionally, not out of anger, but out of curiosity. She wanted to understand why the Krillians had attacked Earth and what drove them to conquer so many worlds. "Why did you come here?" Laura asked during one of these visits. Her tone was calm, almost gentle, but her eyes were sharp. Kane looked away, his voice bitter. "You wouldn't understand. You're kind. You're too small, too fragile. You think this victory means something. It changes nothing." Laura frowned. "It changes everything. You came to destroy us, but we fought back. We showed you that strength isn't about weapons or size. It's about heart." Kane said nothing, but his silence spoke volumes. Deep down, he knew she was right. The Krillians had underestimated humanity, and their arrogance had cost them dearly. Meanwhile, Earth worked tirelessly to rebuild. Cities that had been reduced to rubble rose again, brick by brick. People from all walks of life came together, sharing resources and skills to heal their planet. Factories once used to produce weapons were repurposed to create tools for reconstruction. Even children pitched in, planting trees and cleaning streets. Humanity had faced its darkest hour, but it emerged stronger, united by a shared purpose. Dr. Emily Rowe continued her research into the progenitor artifacts, uncovering secrets that amazed even her. The technology was far beyond anything humans had ever seen, but it wasn't just about weapons or shields. The progenitors had also developed ways to communicate across vast distances and harness energy without harming their environment. Emily believed these discoveries could help humanity avoid future wars and build bridges with other civilizations. Captain Ryan Cole spent his days training new recruits. Though weary from battle, he found joy in teaching others how to defend their home. "We got lucky this time," he told his students, "but luck won't save us next time. We need to be ready." Commander Jake Monroe struggled to adjust to peace. After months of fighting, the quiet felt strange. He often wandered the halls of the Asterisk, Eclipse Vanguard Asterisk, lost in thought. One evening, Laura found him staring out a viewport at the stars. "You okay?" she asked softly. Jake sighed. "I don't know. I've spent so long fighting. It's hard to imagine doing anything else." Laura placed a hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to figure it out right away. Take your time. We'll find our way forward, together." As weeks turned into months, Earth began reaching out to other species in the galaxy. Messages were sent using the progenitor communication systems, offering friendship and cooperation. Some responses were cautious, others curious, but none were hostile. For the first time, humanity realized it wasn't alone in the universe, and that brought both excitement and responsibility. Laura called a meeting with her senior officers to discuss the future. "We've proven we can fight," she said, "but now we need to prove we can build, not just ships or weapons, but relationships. If we want to survive in this galaxy, we have to work with others, not against them." The room nodded in agreement. Everyone understood the stakes. The war had taught them that isolation was dangerous. To thrive, humanity needed allies. One day, a delegation arrived from a distant star system. They called themselves the Valens, a peaceful species known for their wisdom and diplomacy. Their leader, an elder named Soren, greeted Laura with a warm smile. "Your courage has inspired many," he said. "We wish to learn from you, and perhaps teach you as well." For the first time in a long while, Laura felt hope bloom in her chest. The road ahead would be difficult, but humanity had taken its first steps toward a brighter future. The stars no longer seemed like threats. They were opportunities waiting to be explored.